Cowabunga dudes and dudettes, this is Anthony, aka BatBomb82, and today I'll be doing a review of the Medicom Mafex Black Suit Spider-Man. Now, taking a look at the front, we can see that the figure is showcasing your standard Mafex window box packaging. Turning the box around, we can see multiple images and panels showcasing the figure in multiple posing positions with his different interchangeable parts and accessories. So with the box out of the way, let's go ahead and crack this figure open and let him breathe. Alright guys, now let's take a closer look at this Medicom Mafex Black Suit Spidey. Now I've been wanting to delve into the Mafex Spideys for quite some time now. I didn't really like any of the first couple that we got, and I missed out on the Ben Reilly, which I did want. So this is the first one of the ones that I was able to get, and I'm pretty stoked about it because I love the black suit. I mean, like all of you, I think the black suit is one of the best Spidey looks, and I think Mafex did a really good job with this, and for the most part, I like the proportions. First of all, the eyes just look fantastic. I love how big and huge they are. I think it looks so good where they almost touch right there at the middle. I think it looks pretty awesome. And again, the musculature and all that looks pretty good for the most part. I do love the white on the back of the hands. The white paint throughout the entire figure, I think for the most part it looks pretty good. It's a little janky here and there. You'll see throughout the Venom, I guess, spider logo throughout. You see a little bit of, it's just not perfectly lined up to where it is sculpted. And all the whole thing right here, the whole logo is sculpted, not just like tampoed on or anything like that. So it's, again, it's not perfect, but when you're looking at it from afar, it doesn't look so bad. And again, the paint on the hands, all that look really, really nice. So I think they did a good job with that. Again, the proportions all look really good. One thing that I didn't really anticipate is that there's like this tiny bit of dark blue airbrushing throughout the figure. Now, I'm not a giant fan of that. I know some people like that when it comes to black figures. They want that little bit of blue for like highlights and shadows and things like that. I personally don't care. And it's really noticeable in very specific areas. Like you see just below the knee there, right here on his thighs, a little bit on his forearms. And turn to the back here, you can really see it on the back of his calves and his big spidey butt cheeks. You can see a little bit of blue right there, more on his back too as well. So it's very subtle, you know, and it's only highlighted because of all my lights that I have on this figure right now. But once you have it in hand, it looks mostly black. Again, it's just very, very subtle, and I do like that it's subtle. Sometimes, like Marvel Legends, when they try to do that stuff, it's a little too heavy-handed, you know what I mean? So luckily, it's not too crazy on this figure. But that's just my personal preference. And it does have the blue feet, which again, I think is very, very old school comic book accurate. You know what I mean? Some people may not like that. I get it. And he does come with interchangeable feet. I kind of wish we got interchangeable feet with just the black soles of the feet. You know what I mean? I think that would have been cool. But still, again, pretty comic book accurate. And I think, again, I do think he looks pretty awesome. One of my biggest complaints with this thing's going to be, I feel like his hands are very small. I don't know if that's just me, but you'll see here shortly that these hands, I don't know, they're not like super tiny, but I feel like they could be just a little bit bigger. Is that just me? Do you guys feel that way? Or do they just look more proportionate? Like you have on this side, you have with the fingers a little more flared out. It looks a little bit better, but like his closed fisted hands, and you'll see his other hands, they look so small, man. So I'm not sure how I feel about those. But again, everything else does look really cool, and I'm just really stoked to have another Black Suit Spidey in the collection. So now moving on to the accessories here, I'm going to start off with all the different interchangeable hands that we do get. So we do get the standard like close-fisted hands, and then gripping hands for like his web swinging. We got flipping hands, we got wall crawling hands, pretty much everything you're going to need for a Spider-Man figure, including interchangeable feet. Now some of the hands to like highlight, I think are going to be like the flipping hands. So let me just take this off here. It's just on that standard straight peg and pop this on right here, get it in like a more of a flipping pose. Again, I think the hands just look a tiny bit small, not much. They don't look crazy, ridiculous little baby hands or nothing. But I think they could be just a tad bit bigger. Maybe that's just me being nitpicky. I don't know. But still, again, I just wish they were a little bit bigger. Whatever. It is what it is. We also do get interchangeable feet. These are ones with magnets, so you can pop these on. These just slide off like on the little pegs as well, and you can pop on the magnet feet, which I think is really cool, so you can stick them onto any type of metal surface and things like that. We also do get magnet hands, again, for more like wall crawling poses. Again, if you want to pose them on a metal surface. So that's really cool. I love the fact that they even added stuff like that. I think it's really, really fun. We also do get interchangeable heads here, so I'm going to bring in this second one like that, where the eyes are a lot more curved down, definitely a more angry Spidey, maybe more of a symbiote Spidey head, but that looks really cool too. This is just on a standard ball peg, so you can switch that off, pop that on right there, and that looks really cool too, man. I actually really like the way that looks. He looks mean. That is just a great looking Spider-Man figure. But we also do get an unmasked head, which I think is great because this head does pop off at the base of the neck, and you're going to pop on this whole thing like that. There we go. And let's take a closer look at that. I mean, that looks awesome, dude. I love the sculpt of that, how that just looks with the eyes. I love he's a little rugged and a little bit of a 5 o'clock shadow there. I think it looks good. And then you got the symbiote stuff kind of like crawling up under his neck like that, which is a little weird because this, I don't believe this is actually the symbiote suit. It's the black suit because he doesn't have the dots on the back of his white back of a hand like that. So I don't know. I guess maybe it could just kind of be both if you want to play that card. It would have been cool if you got interchangeable hands with the dots, but again, is what it is. The hair looks awesome. I love the wash in that, so that's something a lot of fun. I love that they even included something like that. We also, of course, do get his web backpack, which I think is a really fun accessory. This is pretty easy to put on. I'm just going to pull the arms back like that, and then let's just get these over like this, just like that. Very, very easy to put on. Put the arms back forward. Actually, let's go ahead and pop this head back off, and then we're going to put this one back on because I actually really do like this more angrier head like that. So now you can have the web backpack on the back, and if I can darken up my camera a bit, you could kind of see how textured it is. I think that's super cool how they did that, man. That's a really fun accessory. I like having that even for like other Spider-Man figures, you know what I mean? I don't know, maybe remind me. I really don't know if he even wore the spider or the web backpack while rocking this suit. Did he do that? I don't remember off the top of my head, so feel free to remind me in the comments. Also, much like every other Mafex figure that we do get, we of course do get the clear articulated stand, and I'm always very appreciative that Mafex actually gives us these stands with pretty much like every release. I wish more companies would do that, so that's really awesome. But of course, we also do get web effects that we've seen numerous times. These, there's nothing real crazy, new, or innovative with these. You got short, web shooters. You got the longer ones. You got the web swinging ones, and how these work. Pretty simple. They got the little loop right there. You're going to take off a hand and you're going to pop it on kind of like over the peg like that, and then put the hand back on. And that's a little crooked. He's shooting lopsided, man. That should be a lot more like forward. That actually bent pretty good like that. So that's pretty cool. And you can get some nice web shooting poses like that if you want to. That's really cool. So pop that off like that. Pop this one back on. And then we're going to bring in a more web swinging hand. I already have a gripping hand on him right here, so this is going to be more like a handle. If I can actually get this on like that, like so you can make it look like he's swinging forward like this, and I'll give him some kind of really basic Spider-Man pose like that, blah, something kind of like that. So that's pretty cool. And then pop him on the stand, you know what I mean? We'll get the stand in here and we'll clip that around the waist something like that. And there you go. Yeah, dude, that looks badass. So such a fun piece. And again, all the accessories you do get, man, you don't need much with Spidey in my opinion. Just a bunch of hands, web effects, and then like different head sculpts. That's all you really need for a badass Spidey figure. So running down the articulation here, the head and the neck are on separate ball pegs, so you're going to get a lot of good motion. Like that rolls all the way around. It does look up that far, utilizing both ball pegs, so that's pretty good. And then all the way down like that, where he could do his chin to chest like so. Pivot side to side, and then turn left and right. Arms can go full 360 up and out that far, especially with that butterfly joint in there. This butterfly joint can get a little finicky, just because, I don't know, just the way it is. Sometimes it goes in too far, sometimes it comes out too much. So you do have to play around with it once you have a set pose to make it look a little more natural. Because sometimes, again, it can be a little funky sometimes. So just be aware with that. Again, just a little finicky. It does rotate at the bicep. We got double jointed elbows that work pretty nicely. We got rotation at the wrists as well as a hinge at the wrist, so that works really good too. We get a double ball peg in the midsection going down to the crotch and into the chest, so that rolls around very nicely. Does pivot side to side, crunches back that much. A little bit of gapping in there, but nothing terrible. Luckily, the white is painted all the way in. Crunch forward that much, and then turn left and right. We got a pull down feature at the hips, so you can kick forward and up all the way that far, which is really good for a Spider-Man figure, and then back about that far. We can do the splits about that much, which is pretty good. Rotation in the upper thigh. We got double jointed knees. Can't kick himself in his own butt. But again, the knee joints do look good. Now, I will note, when you have them fully bent like this and extended, this tip of this joint will hit the upper part of the gap of the thigh, so you kind of have to like maneuver the joint around to get that tucked in there first and then bring it all the way in. So like if you see here, like I can't bend it anymore because that joint is actually hitting the upper part of that thigh right there. So you kind of have to do that first and then bring it all the way in. So again, just another little finicky piece, but I mean, once you get it, it's fine. Just careful not to force it. You just don't want to break it, so just be very careful. Ankles go up, down, and do come off because of that peg right there, but you get lots of good motion there. You get a very sweet ankle rocker, and then you do get toe articulation and rotation. So overall, I freaking love this figure, man. It does have its problems in my opinion. I do think, again, the shoulders and the knees can be a little bit of a pain in the butt when articulating, but everything else is butter, man. It really, really is. I love the way he looks. Again, I'm not a big fan of the blue dry or airbrushing, but it works for this figure, again, because it's so subtle. I think it works, just gives it just enough highlights, which I think is great. The white paint could be a little bit better, but again, it's still really good. You know, it doesn't look completely sloppy. Again, this is just a badass looking piece, and again, I will take pretty much any version of Black Suit Spidey or Symbiote Spidey I can get. I think he's such a great piece and definitely a must get. So for a quick size comparison, here he is standing next to a Marvel Legends Deadpool and Mafex Batman figure. Also for comparison, here he is standing next to a Marvel Legends and Mezco 112 Collective Black Suit Spider-Man. And for even more comparison, here he is standing next to a couple Marvel Legends Venom figures. So there it is, guys, my review of the Medicom Mafex Black Suit Spider-Man. Now, overall, I think this is a really cool figure. Now, this is my first Spider-Man from Mafex, and I'm pretty impressed here because the black suit, first of all, again, is one of my favorite Spidey looks. I think for like most of you guys, I freaking love this thing, man. I do kind of wish that we had the interchangeable feet, so it'd be black at the bottom, but that's just me. That's being nitpicky. I love the sculpt here. The proportions do work very nicely. Not too buff, not too slim. I think he's a really nice balance. I do like the subtle blue airbrushing that we get throughout the entire body. It's very, very subtle, so I do like that. I do wish the white paint on the spider emblems were just a little bit better, but they're not terrible by any means. I love all the different interchangeable parts that we get, especially that unmasked Peter Parker head, where he's being taken over by the symbiote, even though this is a black suit, not the symbiote Spider-Man, so I don't know how they figured that out. But either way, the articulation works very well. The spiderweb backpack is freaking great, man. I love this piece, and I cannot wait to get other Spidey Mafex figures in the collection. So be excellent to each other, and stay nerdy, my friends. Peace.